been a crazy day, and I see you're standing here looking at the board. Tell me when it all started, what you got going on here.
Well, this time yesterday we had about 8 slots that weren't full, and since last night about 9:30, when we brought another young offender down here this morning about 6 a.m., it went full tilt. Everything from 4 separate fights in the mess hall to 2 attempted escapes, and we went from 17 to 24, and we are now full. So we've got 1 empty cell that's down for a maintenance problem, and our control officer is going to call our maintenance department, and we're going to get that fixed because I anticipate before the end of the day we're going to be on overflow. And it's just one of those days when it rains, we don't have enough buckets. So, but it does happen.
And it's funny, it seems like, some days are quiet and they're all, fine and in line, and then today's like a full moon.
And the quiet days, those are the good days. We enjoy those. But we've got a lot of paperwork to do today, and we'll be doing paperwork into the night. So we've got quite a number of staff that will be staying over to finish their paperwork.
So tell me personally what it's like to work with this population of kids. What are the highs, the lows, the challenges?
Probably the challenges are understanding what makes a kid react before he thinks. With the adults, I came from a maximum security prison over to this facility. It's just roles are reversed. But these youngsters here, they'll simply, when they become angry, and they can go from 0 to 60 in a second, they simply react, and then they think about the consequences and how they're going to get out of it. Really, the expectation or the highs is when they leave. Most of them down here in segregation, when they leave on the day of their release, I walk them up front. The low is when I see them come through the back gate 4 months later. And they usually put their head down when they see you. And that's a disappointment. And hopefully that we can do it right the second time.
So how are juveniles different from adults? You've worked with both populations.
This generation of juveniles, they're a lot more reckless. Peer pressure is everything to them. They're gang affiliation, it's you either are or you aren't, there's no in between. The adults, they have cliques and they have loops, but with these younger offenders, just a completely different breed of people. But the recklessness, they're probably 10 times more reckless than an adult offender. And unpredictability is, you don't know what they're going to do. And it can be anything from not getting a visit to someone stole their commissary. It's the smallest things that, to you and I, as far as a candy bar, to them that's their entire, that was what they were looking for at the end of the day.
And they will do what? How bad can it get? How bad can they react?
It can get to the point that when they strike out, if they are with a gang affiliation, it can go from 1 victim to multiple victims over a candy bar, or simply sitting in the wrong chair. And it's the challenge is bring your A game when you come to work. Bring your A game.
Have you ever had kids that you kind of personally connect with and really work with, and maybe more than others, or do you just have to sort of keep your distance?
You treat them all the same. The worst thing I think you could do in a juvenile facility is show favoritism to a younger offender. Jealousy does run a little bit higher on this level. Treat them fairly, but treat them all firmly. But don't have any favorites. That would, if I would see a staff member do that, I would try to discourage it.
And never show fear?
I don't think there's fear here. This is not a difficult job. What this job is about, it's about control by communication. That's what at this level in the juvenile facility is communication.
Do you like working with juveniles?
Actually, I think it's a little bit easier. I worked 15 years in the adult system, and I've been here about a year, and I've had everything from the gang housing unit to the segregation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, imagine that. That was Gabe's fault.
Yeah, it's only another 30 pages. But yeah.
You were just talking about you've.
I've worked, like I said, at the adult facility, and when I came here a year ago, I've had everything from the gang units to the segregation. So I've seen some of the more aggressive offenders, but they're not near as aggressive as adult offenders. They're more reactive, but they're not near as aggressive. So, which is a good thing.
And they tend to, as quickly as they can explode, they can also calm right back down.
Absolutely.
So explain.
They don't retain aggression like an adult offender. In other words, they don't have that surly attitude of wanting retaliation. They explode, they have their aggression moment, there's fighting, and then it's over. And then they'll even apologize, all within a 3-minute period. But what I would say to staff is know where you are. Know where you are at all times. It's going to be a long night. How many call-ins you think we'll have? How many call-ins you think we'll have after payday?
Oh, God, a whole lot of them. After payday, Lieutenant, we all probably working tonight. I left a message on Mr. Elmer's message.
Blevins?
Yep, they
Okay.
already gone for today.
And then tomorrow, when I come in first thing, I'll get on it.
Please.
Because we may, Courtney may have to relieve 2 or 3 more just so we can fill them up. If push comes to shove, we'll put them in B3.
Oh, okay.
But only, because I've got 15 cells over there.
Hey, Sergeant, we obviously just saw you go through a GROW group program. Why do you think the kids happen to relate to you and Eric? Is there something about you guys, something you say that you think the kids maybe relate to you guys a little bit more?
Well, hopefully, my background comes from, my father was incarcerated all my life for 20 years, so by talking, I guess they understand that I'm real with them. And it makes a difference when talking to them, and they can actually relate to me. And most of the stories I understand, I've been through there. So talking to them, we connect.
So what do you think it is that people don't know about these kids that maybe you do know, seeing them inside?
Well, seeing them here, that most of them they just want somebody to talk to. A lot of them come from a single parents family, and which I did too, and they're missing a father figure in their life. And that's what a lot of the kids and the treatment teams we have, they wanted to let their feelings out and get them into this type of environment. And most of the time they do, they just have nobody to talk to.
So what are some of the good things and some of the bad things you've seen in your time working in this unit?
Working in the unit, you have some kids not willing to let go of their feelings and not willing to open up. And that's probably the bad part, that that some kids, when they leave out of here, they have no positive role models out there. And that's where our job is to lead them in the right direction when they leave here. Positive is that when I see a kid leave here and when they call back and say they're in school or they're about to go to the service, I mean, that's a blessing to me.
Do you ever, really kind of connect maybe with 1 or 2 kids a little more especially than others? Sometimes it's hard to get
all of
close.
them. Well, I mean, if I connect with 1 out of 24, that's an accomplishment for me. If I can get 1 to open up his eyes and get his heart and his mind right, that's an accomplishment for me. Knowing
your background and knowing what you went through, how is it, that you were able to overcome that?
I had positive people in my life. I think my mother played a good role in it. I mean, she's positive, and I didn't want to be locked up for the rest of my life. And I've seen what disasters it could be. And I was a father at an early age, 16 years old, and I didn't want my kids to come see me locked up in prison.
So how's it all turned out for you?
Great. I have my kids, and it's going good so far.
So finally, if you could just tell us a little bit about the GROW program and why you think it's important and you know what it does for these kids.
Well, most of these kids, it's a gang unit. We have 24 kids. We hold 24 beds. A lot of these kids come from different gangs. We have GDs, IGDs, IVLs, Crips, Bloods, Cert 13s. And in a regular population, these kids would have never have a chance to coincide with other gang members. On our unit, they really have no choice. So you see vice lords, you see GDs playing basketball together, playing cards. And out in the real world, they probably would have never did that. And we teach them that we all bleed red blood. You know, so it doesn't make no difference what color nationality you are, what color you are, or what your beliefs is. We're here for a reason.
Have they told you, you know, kind of what it's like, you know, hey, have they ever said, you know, hey, I never thought I'd get along with so-and-so?
Yes.
I mean, what have they told you about living side by side with their rivals?
Well, when we first started the group, we had, it was critical. I mean, we had that it was hard for them to be around another GD, being around another vice lord. I mean, it was hard for them because they were used to being violent toward that opposite gang member. But we have study groups together, we talk together, and like most of the kids you see in our study group, we match them up, vice lord GDs. And it changed the attitude and the mindset of a lot of these kids.
Any fights at all? You gotta have something.
Well, we didn't have problems before. I mean, very rare. I believe our unit we have down here is one of the cleanest units out of all units. We had a couple of incidents, but it's nothing major at all. I mean, the officers here, most likely, they love to work 8-1 because most of the kids we have, they act mature. They're very mature, so it's not bad at all.